Hi, my name is Meredith, and I have lived with anxiety for a very long time. I eat a very specific diet because of this, and it's not a diet that you would find specifically in some sort of book. It's something that I've kind of cultivated over the many years of trial and error. I closely follow like an anti-inflammatory diet. But a lot of times when I tell people what I do and don't eat, or specifically what I don't eat, I get the question a lot, oh my gosh, well, what do you eat? And I'm gonna talk about that today in this video. It's a video I've wanted to make for a while. So to start off, my health journey started in my adult life 2020. Before that, let's go all the way back to my childhood. My parents were both pretty conventionally healthy. My mom cooked a lot growing up. She's the best cook in the world, y'all. Moms always are. And my dad was all about the grill. You know, they both really loved making food. I didn't grow up in a family where we went out to eat a lot. If we did, it was like a very special occasion. Like so much so that like even birthdays weren't like going out to eat. It was like a really, really special occasion. Like mostly graduations or, things like that. So I didn't really have the blueprint that eating out was something that was a part of like normal life. And honestly, that's never really been part of my normal life. I've never felt like that was something I wanted to spend money on. I love eating at restaurants. Restaurants are delicious. But it always kind of came down to like, well, I don't want to spend that money on that if I could get like double or triple what that meal is going to be at the grocery store for the same price. So it never really made sense to make that to be a part of my, my day-to-day life. So that's not something I ever really had to battle. But getting out of my parents' house and getting into like the real world, I had to sort of learn what my relationship with food was. And I didn't even think of it that way until I started really, probably around 2020. I didn't even really think of it as a relationship. But what you eat and the way you think about food and your identity around food, because we all have an identity around food, that is your relationship with food. And I needed to heal mine because all throughout my 20s, I lived and worked in different places where like I worked at a lot of summer camps, I worked a lot of resort jobs, and a lot of those jobs you'd get room and board, which was awesome. And honestly, like if you're in your 20s and you're not thrilled with your job right now, go work at a resort somewhere. It's awesome. I'll make a video about that later. So until I was about 28, I didn't really have to learn how to cook for myself. I didn't really have to learn how to like grocery shop or budget. Like I would do that, here and there, but for the most part, I either was living at home or living at these places where they sort of cooked for you. And so when I moved back to my home state in the Southeast, when I moved back home, I was about 29, and I was like, okay, well, I had to eat. We all have to eat multiple times a day, and so I think I mentioned before in a video that I don't love to cook, especially when I'm single. When I'm just cooking for me, I tend to, as a lot of us do, waste food or make a ton of the same food and then get really bored of it. And so food wasn't really a place where I got a lot of joy. So I would eat a lot of frozen things. I ate a ton of frozen pizzas. I ate a ton of ice cream. I ate a ton of like those box dinners, and my mental health was in shambles. My anxiety was through the roof, but I didn't make the connection. I did not make the connection. I started dating someone in 2020 who was very health conscious, and all of a sudden she was showing me these ways to eat, to nourish your body, as opposed to just having the satisfaction when it was in your mouth and then, it not actually being something nourishing or nutritious for your body in the long term. She had dealt with a lot of the same things that I had dealt with many, many years prior to us meeting. And so she would tend to very delicately make suggestions, because I'm really stubborn. I'm really, really, really stubborn. And so suggesting that I change such a huge part about myself as my diet is, I kicked and I screamed, y'all. I just kicked and I screamed and I stomped my feet. Not literally of any of those things, but luckily she was more stubborn than I was. And so she sort of guided me through these things, and she never said, you have to do this or you need to cut this out. It was always a suggestion. And so I started to get curious. I'm like, okay, well, she's not dealing with the anxiety that I'm dealing with, so let me try it out. The first really, really big thing that I cut out of my diet, and it's a big one, and it might be tough for people to imagine life without this, but it was gluten. I am not celiac, and I have never had a doctor or anyone like that tell me I shouldn't eat gluten. But when I cut it out, after I went through the many weeks of the detox phase, because y'all, it is real. When my body finally detoxed the gluten, it was like I was a different person. I used to get so anxious and my heart would race. Anytime I was confronted with conflict, and I was working in customer service. I'm still working in customer service, but I was the person that people came to when they were upset about something in the retail world. And so I dealt with conflict on a day-to-day basis. People being upset that this wasn't what they wanted, or people being upset, et cetera, et cetera. You all know those kind of jobs, and I'm sure a lot of you work those kind of jobs, and we are grateful for those people. I am so grateful for those people, because it wasn't my happy place. So, but I used to, in those moments, my heart would start pounding out of my chest. I would get very sweaty. I would turn beet red. And I'm not saying the only thing that worked was cutting out gluten, but I saw a really big change. Still to this day, I am gluten-free. That was 6 years ago. I have no interest in going back. I went through a long phase of feeling deprived. I will be honest with you. I went through a long phase of feeling deprived because I couldn't eat so many things that I loved. But there are alternatives out there. And luckily, these days, they don't taste like cardboard. I know that years and years and years ago, that was kind of all that was available for people who couldn't eat gluten. But nowadays, there's alternatives for everything. And honestly, I don't miss it. So that was a really big thing that I cut out that helped me a lot. Another thing that I cut out that helped me a lot, and this one is also something that you may not want to hear, was dairy. Yep. I used to eat pretty meat and dairy based, as in every single meal, that was the main component. And, I was drinking a lot of milk. I was eating a lot of cheese. And let me tell you, it was delicious. Obviously, cheese is delicious. But when I started cutting it out, I actually kind of went full pendulum swing in the opposite and became a raw vegan for a few months. And I felt incredible. I eventually hit a wall and needed to change into another diet, but I'm not talking about all the different diets that I've tried today. I'm just sort of talking about the things that I've cut out that have helped me with my anxiety. And dairy was a big one, y'all. It's pretty inflammatory to my system anyway. And when I cut it out, my digestion got better. Every now and then I will eat goat cheese, and I always wake up feeling a little bit stuffy, and I'm a little more mucusy for a few days or a week afterwards. And honestly, and I know both of these things, gluten and dairy, are kind of crazy for a lot of people to wrap their head around, that like someone could choose to cut these things out. But I promise you that if you tried an elimination diet of either of these things for several months and you went back and saw how they affected your body, and again, this is my experience. I'm not telling anyone that they should or shouldn't do this. I just sort of really wanted to share this because it has been such a game changer in my life. But going back, and if anytime I've tried either of these very specific things, I hurt. Specifically, when I tried gluten last, it was the day before Valentine's Day, this just a few months ago, so beginning of 2026. Then the day of Valentine's Day, the next day after I ate, some delicious bread that someone had baked. So it was freshly baked. It was delicious. It was amazing. I had the worst migraine. And when I have a migraine, I shut down, as a lot of people do. And I was at work. I was in the middle of a shift and I couldn't go home. So I had to chug a bunch of water, take some medicine, and just hope for the best. Luckily, it did pass. But I sort of vowed to myself that in the United States anyway, I won't try gluten. And that is a different video. I will happily talk about the food system in a different video, but that's not what we're doing today. And so, yeah, dairy is something that isn't as violent to my system, but it definitely doesn't make me feel great. And I really love feeling great. So those are two really big things that I've cut out. And the third thing that I want to talk about, and the very last thing that I want to talk about, because I could talk for such a long time about food and the way it makes us feel, but I will save, more for later. The third really big thing that I've cut out is seed oils. Now, I know that there's a lot of controversy on whether or not there's any sort of scientific evidence one way or the other, but in my experience, in my lived experience, after years of trial and error and years of trying to figure out, what is and isn't the best for my body, seed oils don't treat me good. Treat me right, treat me well. You get it. And if you are unaware of what a seed oil is, it's the oil made from the seed of the plant. So sunflower oil, canola oil, and I'm not even positive what plant makes canola oil. I've avoided it for so many years. I don't even really know that much about it because whenever I eat it, I feel absolutely horrendous. Sesame oil, things like that. The oils that I use, the oils that make me feel the best, are olive oil, coconut oil, avocado oil, the oils that are made from the fruits of the plants. Coconut is the fruit of the plant. Olives are the fruit of the tree. Avocados obviously are the fruit of the tree as well. And those oils just make me feel so much better. I've never had an issue eating any of those oils. And an honorable mention in this video is sugar. I cut it out completely, like refined cane sugar specifically, for many years. Every now and then I will eat it now. I'm not as strict about it as I used to be. I'm very strict about the first three things that I talked about. I'm very strict about keeping those out of my diet. Sugar, I just limit. I just limit. I mostly eat, the sugars that I mostly eat are like honey, maple syrup. I will eat coconut sugar sometimes. If someone tries to tell you that coconut sugar and cane sugar are going to treat your body the same, I feel differently when I eat the two things. Coconut sugar burns a little slower, I feel like, and cane sugar, it makes you crash a lot more than coconut sugar ever has. For me, anyway. So I really wanted to make this video because I had sort of another wake-up call thinking that, I'm super healthy. I can eat. It's going to be fine every now and then. And this past week, so for the past like month, I have been trying to like super duper budget and kind of try and cut my grocery bill in half. And I realized that I was buying a lot more processed stuff than I really needed to do. So for the last like month, I've been eating really, really simply, basically just tofu or a protein and vegetables. And honestly, like I have felt so amazing. My digestion has been amazing. And so I thought, okay, well, I can veer off. It'll be fine. And I've learned this lesson so many times, and apparently I needed to learn it again. And this past weekend, I went to a craft day with a friend, and I brought like a little charcuterie board, and I got a bunch of olives, and I got a bunch of hummus and all this sort of vegetables and things. And the hummus had sunflower oil in it, and the olives had sunflower oil and canola oil. And I felt okay that day. And yes, it was all delicious. The next day I woke up in a panic. The next day I felt so out of my mind panicky, thinking that like I need to get out of this situation. I need to get out. I needed to go do this thing. I texted my best friend who lives many states away and was like, can I come live with you? I'm feeling, and I realized within a few hours of waking up, and I texted her at like 6:30 in the morning when I woke up, and I was like, I just felt like I needed out of my own skin. I realized within a few hours of, waking up and realizing, oh, that's what that was. And I do feel a lot better now. It's been about a week since I've eaten the seed oils, and it's just sort of another reminder of why I don't eat that way. I value my mental health more than most things in my life. I have worked so hard to get where I'm at emotionally, mentally, and I feel incredibly stable at this point in my life, and I feel incredibly strong in my heart and in my mental health journey of where I'm at. And I'm not willing to compromise that anymore for something that I'm going to eat for 5 minutes. And don't get me wrong, y'all. I love food. I love it. And I will always love it. It's a source of joy in my life. But what feels better than the most delicious meal you could ever eat, what feels better is not having anxiety. Just my opinion. I will continue down this journey, and I'm sure things will change. And I'm not saying I'm never going to eat bread again. I'm not saying I'm never going to eat cheese again. I'm not saying I'm never going to eat seed oils again, but they are largely not in my life. And there are many, many different reasons, but I just wanted to come on here and talk a little bit about some of the reasons why I don't. And if you are interested in hearing more about anything that I've talked about, I love making videos like this. I love talking to people about food and the food system and why the food system is different here than it is in other places in the world, because it is. And it's just something that's near and dear to my heart. So please comment below if you got anything out of this or you want to hear more. I'm going to make more videos anyway. If you are enjoying my content, please like and subscribe. I definitely am here for the long run. And so I want to reach as many people as I can. My cat's about to jump. No. Don't knock over my camera. Go. Anyway, so I hope you have a wonderful evening, a wonderful morning, whichever part of the day you're watching this video. I'm really trying to get him to not knock over. Don't do it. I'm trying to get him to not knock over my camera. I'm almost done, I promise. Yeah, so just stick around, y'all, because I want to talk more about this stuff. So if you want to keep hearing about it, like and subscribe. I love you. Good night.